Our region's business is sponsored by PNC for the achiever in you.
It's been a while since WQED's Rick Sebak last made a trip to downtown Pittsburgh, at least with a full TV crew in tow. Almost a quarter century, in fact. And now with underwriting support from PNC Bank, which sponsors this program, Rick's headed back to town to see just how much has changed. His program, Return to Downtown, airs at 8 p.m. January 28th on WQED. And Rick Sebak joins us today on Our Region's Business with a bit of a preview. Welcome. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Bill. Excellent.
25 years ago, a quarter seems like yesterday. It must, huh? Right?
Yeah, I think maybe you even interviewed me about that show when we did it.
Might have been when it premiered. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Why the decision to go back now?
I guess I'm one of those people that's grown up with all these great memories of downtown and going downtown with my mother and parking at Kaufman's and all that kind of stuff. And actually, I had a root canal at Jenkins Arcade when I was 5.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So, I've always loved downtown, and I know that I found records when we started to make this proposal that I first proposed Return to Downtown Pittsburgh in 2001, because it was 9 years at that point since we'd done the first downtown show. And it's funny because this show, I think, some people think, oh, it's going to be about what's new downtown, but I said, no, it's about what's old and what's the same as well as what's new.
Okay.
And I mean, I think the biggest thing that's new is people are living downtown. And I remember Mike Eversmeyer. I don't know if you remember Mike, but he did a lot of work with city planning and stuff at the time. And he took us around and showed us where once people had lived downtown in the earlier show. And, you know, even in the Harvard, Yale, Princeton Club, people had lived there and hung their laundry between the windows and stuff like that. But it was so unthinkable in '92 that anyone would live downtown.
Well, that was the great vision. Someday, you know, they would have all these theaters, and then there would be restaurants, and then there'd be hotels, and maybe someday people would actually live. And yeah, you're right. Here we are.
Yeah, and I think, you know, actually somebody in the show mentioned something about during the Murphy administration, they talked about retail, and they said, but we really need residential before retail can bloom. So maybe there is hope that retail seems to be the one sort of, you know, shady part of downtown right now. We've lost Macy's / Kaufman's, and people miss that. People miss having a destination department store, I think. But I don't think it's Pittsburgh. I think it's everywhere that's happening.
That's true. Well, we should show a little bit of a clip, give people a sense of what the show's about. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about downtown. But here, let's take a look at Return to Downtown.
In southwestern Pennsylvania, we're lucky. We have a downtown that's compact and endlessly interesting, with a combination of wonderful buildings, both old and new. From the tip of Point State Park to the Crosstown Boulevard, you can find an incredible mix of businesses, restaurants, events, and lots of people who love this city center. In 1992, we made a program called Downtown Pittsburgh. Now we're putting together a sequel that's also a suggestion. Return to Downtown Pittsburgh.
All right, very good. So a little taste of what's ahead on January 28th. Yeah, but you came to Pittsburgh when? You came back to Pittsburgh, I guess.
I came back to Pittsburgh in 1987. I think it's always interesting to say that I got this job by answering an ad in a trade journal.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I heard something recently about someone say, everybody in this room got the job because you knew somebody. I didn't know anybody at QED. I answered an ad in Broadcasting Magazine, and a friend had told me about it and said, you never see a big station like WQED advertising for a producer. But, and you know, who knows what we thought at the time. We started to do these documentaries. QED had always, they said, paid a lot of lip service to local programming, but they really wanted to try and do it. And Nancy Lavin was the executive director of local programming at the time, and she had been hired to do this. And I don't know, we started making these shows
and here you are.
In 1987, and we're still doing it.
Yeah, coming up on 30 years of doing that. And the shows really, I mean, we love them here in Pittsburgh, but they've gone national too. You've got a national following now as a result of all
Well, actually, we had always sent them to PBS, and they always said, those shows are too local, too parochial. Only you people in Western Pennsylvania care about those things. But then we did the show called Pennsylvania Diners. And PBS said, you know what, it doesn't matter. Everybody knows this kind of restaurant. Let's air this nationally. And we got really great ratings without any promotion at all. And so then they started saying, what do you want to do? So at that point, we really do 2 lines of production now. I do my Pittsburgh History Series shows like this one. And we also do national shows for PBS when they, are willing to fund something. So in August, we premiered A Few Good Pie Places and A Few Great Bakeries. And now we're back to downtown Pittsburgh.
Back to Pittsburgh. We talk about underwriting. I guess it takes some significant underwriting to pull off these local shows too.
Right. Well, we've mentioned PNC. They're our big sponsor this time. We also got funding from the Buell Foundation, who's been so nice to me since North Side Story, and I can never thank the Buell Foundation enough. We also have funds on this show from Point Park University, who are just, I mean, I didn't know how much wonderful old architecture has been saved by Point Park University.
Good point,
and they're going to do the Pittsburgh Playhouse downtown now, so we talk about that. But we also have money from EQT and from the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership. So it's a good group.
Well, congratulations all to make this happen. Only got a few seconds left, but I got to ask you, in addition to the people living downtown, anything really strike you about downtown today versus almost a quarter century ago?
I think that one of my favorite surprises, just because it's an old tradition and everything, Katie's Candy is there to take the space that I think Candy-Rama pulled away from. We did a feature about Candy-Rama in the old show. Now we have Katie's Candy for the new show.
All right, some great traditions live on in downtown Pittsburgh. Rick Sebak from WQED, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill, very much.
And we'll be back in a minute with little dollars and cents. Stay with us.